So what was that question that we wanted to answer?
This question was from Maury Phillips. Uh, I'm not sure if that's a girl or a boy, but he asks, "Hey Will, I am currently trying to get into real estate market and wanted to ask you a question. Since you own a lot of rental properties, do you manage them yourself or hire property management team to do the work for you? I just wanted to see which option would be better for me since I am just now entering the market. Thanks for your time."
All right, so that's a great question. So my answer would be one way, but Leroy might answer that a different way. Junior P looked up like, oh no, not Leroy.
Where you at?
Yeah, Leroy is here. He came to visit us in the office, so I let him give his perspective on it. But my perspective on that, let me just tell you guys what my portfolio kind of looks like with respect to property managers. So I have I've done about 35 deals on different properties, and I maintain about 21, 22 properties. Of those 21 or 22 properties that we rent out, we got a property manager managing 3 of them. So I'll give you the good side first, and then I'll give you the not so good side. So, and then I'll let Leroy give you the verdict. But anyway, so the good side is, like, when I first got started in doing investment properties, man, I should have cut my hair for this one. So when I first started doing investment properties, it was sort of by accident a little bit, where I had a condo that I wanted to sell, but I was getting ready to take such a big loss on it that I was like, no, man, my condo is worth more than what they're saying. So I kept it and I rented it out. But I was afraid of being a landlord because I was too busy. I thought, being a landlord would be too much of a distraction. And I didn't want people calling me and asking me to fix stuff and all that good stuff. So on my very first property, I got a property management company called RPM Management. And the good thing was they took all of the worry away. I just basically had to pay for the marketing to get my my house listed for rent. And then the property management company did everything else. They did the showings. They handled all the phone calls. They did the tenant screening. They did, changing the locks. They got the person situated. They did the lease agreement. I mean, they did everything. And then I would get a check every month for probably about 80% of the rent. It's supposed to be 90% of the rent. But after they would be doing their little services, it would end up being probably around 80% on average of the monthly rent I would get. But they would just send me the checks every month, or make direct deposits. I'm sorry, they make direct deposits. So the good was I didn't have to worry about it. They handled everything. And then when it came time to change tenants, they would handle all that too. I just might not see a check for a couple months while they got the house ready for rent again and got a new tenant. So the good thing about a property manager, if they're a good property management company, they will handle everything for you. When I say everything, I mean everything. All you got to do is write initial check and then start getting your money for your rent. Now, on the flip side with property management, like that particular company, man, when I severed the relationship, I think they were upset about it. And, they charged me all these fees. And we actually went to court about it. Now, I didn't go to court because I just didn't show up, but they actually sued me for a few $100, and I was just like, y'all owe me money, so how are you going to sue me for money? So it ended up being sort of a bad experience at the end. And when I cut my relationship with that property management company, which was the biggest property management company in the area, like in Central Ohio, the problem that I had with them is, man, they would just charge me whatever they wanted to fix things. Like, for example, they would go out and change the lock on the front door, and they would charge me like $250 or something crazy, when all you need to do is get like a what they call a quick set lock, and you can go in there in 5 minutes and change the key to the lock. And that wouldn't cost me anything to go do something like that. So they started nickel and diming me, man. They started charging me a little bit too much for everything. And then it became a problem because I was like, man, I'm paying these people too much And then I started getting other rental properties, and I started to see that it wasn't as bad being a landlord. It's just business. And then I cut that relationship, and it was a little bit sour. But in the meantime, I had this idea that every time I paid off a rental property, I would get a property manager to handle it, and because I would be paying less, like in the mortgages and stuff like that, my expenses would be lower, so I could pay a property manager. But it turns out I did get a guy to do property management for 3 of my properties. He still manages 3 properties for me, and he would do a pretty good job for me. But like on the most recent property that we were getting ready for rent, I had to be involved in it heavily, which took a lot of my time. Like if you guys see one of my videos called Lamborghini Owner Takes Out Trash for a Living, that was one property that my property manager was supposed to be managing, and I had to get involved to get stuff done in time, to get the new tenants in there. And he charged me way too much on some of the things to get the house rehab. He was charging me way too much. Like prices were just way too high. So I got a little bit sour on that relationship and decided that when those contracts, like when those people move out, I'm gonna basically manage those properties myself. So you might be wondering what's my verdict on it. I'll let Leroy decide. Let Leroy tell y'all that. So I mean he's been itching to help me out with the channel. So Leroy, you can take it from here. What's up, everybody? I don't really do cameras that often, but my brother Will asked me to break it down on the property management. You know what I'm saying? I done rented a lot of places, and what I say is f a property manager. Oh my bad. This gonna be on public access. Alright, so
What you got in your cup, man?
what do you want me to tell him? Oh, property managers. My thought on that is why let somebody else handle your business? You supposed to be handling your business. Why let somebody else handle your business and take your cheese? That's your cheese. Matter of fact, Will, if you want me to property manage for you, I can do that. Just let me know. So if you want me to property manage for you, I can do that too. We call it Leroy's Property Management. And if they don't pay, you know what's gonna happen. Now, in all seriousness, Leroy is just a character from my YouTube channel, and we happen to both agree that, at least in my scenario, with all the experience that I have, I prefer not to use a property manager because they not only charge you a percentage of the rent for the properties that they manage, they also will charge you for repairs, usually based on their discretion, unless you come up with your own contract that says you have the first right of refusal or you maybe handle the budget for the repairs. But you can actually come up with your own contract for your property management company. But in my experience, property managers have been good in some cases when it comes to fielding calls from potential or from tenants that are in your properties. But in the long haul, I prefer not to use them because, they charge too much for the repairs, and they don't look out for your budget the same way that you might look out for your budget. So that's just my verdict. Now, if you're a first-time landlord and you do not want to deal with some of the issues that come up owning a rental property once you get a tenant in there, or just showing the place and you just do not want to deal with it, you want to be more hands off, and you're okay with being maybe overcharged for some things, and you're okay with cutting them a percentage of your rent every month, then it might be a good thing for you. So when for my first property, I used a property management company, and I was very happy with it until I started analyzing the numbers and how much money they were basically taking out of my pocket going to their company, because they actually had in-house repair people, and they would charge me whatever they wanted. So anyway, that was my verdict. I decided to do everything myself. But if, like I said, if you have less experience and you're not comfortable with it, using a property management company, a good property management company, could be a good thing. All right, so we'll see you guys in the next lecture.